So I want to talk a little bit about this General Petraeus scandal. Here's a man who has, in many ways, managed to create a very important bridge between and the civilian world and the government through, linking military through the CIA, which is in a sense outside of the military. So he's bringing a certain kind of intelligence, but all the accolades about this person aside, and whether or not we agree with who or what he is as a general, we have agreed that this is who's there. This is who is in office under President Obama to lead, well, weird war. So the fact that he has resigned because he had an affair, I find kind of juvenile. What it basically is Petraeus on the down low. Now, for those who don't know what the down low is, it's a term that has come to be associated with Black and Latino, so-called urban Black and Latino men who have sex with men, don't necessarily identify as gay, but part of the issue with maintaining the down low status, as the term itself implies, is being covert. And that's the same problem with General Petraeus and his affair, is being covert. Now, I know that some people might say, well, isn't there a danger that secrets would be revealed in their intimate, relationship? And I think that it would be naive to assume that a man of that caliber in his work could not keep state secrets, over pillow talk. That's first. But second of all, the pressures of trying to maintain a covert relationship do in fact produce a kind of stress on an individual where they might slip up in their work. So if there weren't this kind of fear for them around what happens if someone finds out, other than our spouses and how they might respond, but how might the president of the United States respond if he came to know that I had an affair? I mean, if that kind of pressure wasn't there, I don't think that we would be seeing people wouldn't think, okay, well, the person is going to betray, their duties in some way, because I don't think that we can make the case that having an affair makes you a bad general, no more than having an affair makes you a bad president. The thing that was going on with Monica Lewinsky and President Clinton, listen, that was a waste of public money to go after this man. Now, we're talking about, is he manipulating power? Because he's her boss, effectively. And not only is he her boss, he's the President of the United States. And so he's having an affair with someone who is a subordinate in his organization. Well, inherently there is that power differential. And so we always know that relationships at work and on the job are very, very ridden with these kinds of relations. And so of that we should be wary. But to devote so much media attention, I just got finished watching, like a 7-minute television report about this issue with Petraeus, and this is days after the story is busted, and so we're still going on and on about this, and I'm watching it here in Europe, where people have very different attitudes about it. So it's also a very sobering kind of conversation that they have here in Europe about something that just isn't such a big deal here. But it also, hits home for me as an American watching this, that in many ways we are very juvenile about sexuality. We're very juvenile when it comes to anything about gender. I mean, we're very, women are like this and men are like this, and neither of the two shall meet. So you do get, people who think like, women are from Venus and men are from Mars, and again, and yet they're all earthlings somewhere in between. But it's hard to see when you have a very rigid and narrow-minded idea of what a man is and what a woman is, and it's the same narrow-mindedness that I think drives the DL identity. It drives the homophobia in America, and I think there is, obviously I'm saying there's a link between, clandestine as opposed to private, that there is an issue of shame that keeps people to identify as DL as opposed to, being more free about whomever they are, whoever they choose to be. There is something about, saying that the family and the notion of family is X, Y, and Z. Well, what then do you call the Hillary and Bill Clinton after she, apparently they came to terms with whatever was going on with them. So they're therefore, a non-traditional family. He cheated. There was, adultery. We don't know what else goes on in their relationship. Same with Petraeus. Same with all the women or at least the women he was with, that we know that he was with. She's also married. I mean, they've all committed adultery. And so when we define family so narrowly, and we point all the fingers at gay people this and you can't have gay family that, well, what you are is pointing three fingers back at us, at the normal straight family, and saying we can only and ever be a very, very, very patriarchal nuisance, effectively, that kind of family that Mitt Romney dreamed up when he said, in the third debate that he lost, the election, but also the debate where he was talking about women's equality. He was prompted by a citizen voter, and he said something to the effect of he tried to find women in binders because he didn't know any, and that he would, try and establish flex time on the job so that women could get home and cook for their man and take care of their kids. So implicit in that argument is that this is what women do. And men, on the other hand, are doing what he does. They're out there on the job. Now, it isn't that I have a fundamental disrespect for housewives, but I do have a disrespect for the Real Housewives of New York, the Real Housewives of Jersey, the Housewives of Orange County, the Real Housewives television show. I mean, the Laura Bush, as she said, she's sitting here watching, she's a desperate housewife herself. Well, I think a certain kind of family that we romanticize produces the Desperate Housewives, such that we think, ha ha ha, it's just a cute show about, a street, Listeria Lane, something like that, of upper middle class housewives. And we romanticize it, and we see like, oh wow, this is great, and they have all their problems and drama. The entire soap opera industry is based on, this desperate housewife, normal, heteropatriarchal kind of family. And well, they shot JR. That family model doesn't really work for anyone. And the problem is not that we all transgress from it, but the idea that it's a false standard to uphold in this day and age. And you just see people who are unable to maintain it over and over and over, and yet don't have the freedom, even the mental capacity to even consider another kind of relationship. And so they get stuck, and there they are.